everybody. We're so excited that you're joining us tonight for CR First NLR Online. Go ahead and let's spend some time in worship.
You are I'm a grateful believer in Jesus, and I'm in recovery for alcohol and pills, and my name is Hannah. I'm going to read the 12 steps and biblical comparisons. Step 1. We admitted we were powerless over our addictions and compulsive behaviors, that our lives had become unmanageable. I know that nothing good lives in me, that is in my sinful nature, for I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. Romans 7:18. Step 2. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. For it is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good purpose. Philippians 2:13. Step 3. We made a decision to turn our lives and our wills over to the care of God. Therefore, I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. Romans 12:1. Step 4. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord. Lamentations 3:40. Step 5. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. James 5:16. Step 6. We were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. James 4:10. Step 7. We humbly asked him to remove all our shortcomings. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9. Step 8. We made a list of all persons we harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Luke 6:31. Step 9. We made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to your brother, then come and offer your gift. Matthew 5:23-24. Step 10. We continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. So if you think you're standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. 1 Corinthians 10:12. Step 11. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and power to carry that out. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. Colossians 3:16. Step 10. Having had a spiritual experience as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and practice these principles in all our affairs. Brothers, if someone is caught in a sin, you who are spiritual should restore them gently. But watch yourself, or you also may be tempted. Galatians 6:1.
I want to welcome you to CR First NLR tonight. Thank you for taking the time to join us. This is a safe place where it's okay to not be okay. And if you're brand new to CR, listen, welcome home. I know how difficult it is those first few times that you attend. But if you'll stick around long enough, you'll experience your own miracle. And we are excited that you're all here tonight. It's such a blessing to spend each Tuesday with each of you. After this service, we will be doing what we always do. We're going to be in online open share groups. Now, remember, these are issue-specific and gender-specific groups. So you'll be with people that you can relate to. And if you haven't already done so, make sure that you register on our website. Just go to crfirstnlr.com. Scroll down that page to where it says Online Service and Groups and click on Open Share Groups. And then just simply fill out the form, and your leader will send you your invite. We typically get them to you very, very quickly. Then at 8 p.m., we will get together in our Open Share Groups. You usually have about 15 to 20 minutes in between large group and open share groups. So make sure you get registered and get involved in the open share groups. Now, we also offer several other options for open share groups because you need more than one meeting a week. So we have groups on Friday night, and we also have them on Sunday night, and they're at 7:15 p.m. Sign-ups are also on the website. Just go to CR First NLR, scroll down that page where it says additional online groups and just register. And just like before, your leader will send you over the link to the group. Those groups, again, they start promptly at 7:15 p.m. Listen, if you're struggling during this time, there's usually a direct correlation to your involvement in your recovery. So make sure that you're attending as many groups as possible. Are you looking for a church home? Or maybe you just haven't made it back to church since the COVID-19 outbreak. Well, I want to invite you to join us on Saturday night at 5 p.m. or Sunday at 8:30, 10, or 11:30 a.m. right here at First NLR. Now, we're located at 4501 Borough Drive, right here in North Little Rock. And we have taken every precaution that you can imagine to ensure that you're safe and you're healthy. So if you don't feel comfortable coming to church in person, please continue to join us on firstnlr.tv. But we would love to see you, if at all possible, in person here at church this weekend. 1 Chronicles 29:9 explains that the people rejoiced over their offerings, that they had given freely and wholeheartedly to the Lord, and King David was filled with joy. When we worship God by freely and wholeheartedly giving of our finances, we are filled with his abundant joy. And our offerings show our obedience, and God's response is blessing in our lives. And if you're struggling right now, I want to encourage you to trust him in every single area of your life. And I think you'll agree that CR First NLR is having an impact on all of us in all of our lives. So let's rejoice together as we give tonight. To give online, simply go to our website, crfirstnlr.com/give, and you can give right there. You can also give by text to give, or some people also still send their checks in. Either way is fine. As you give tonight, I want to pray for you. Father, we are excited to be a part of such an important ministry. And our desire is to reach those who are struggling to find help. Lord, I ask that you use this offering to help us accomplish this mission right here in our community and even around the world. We love you, Jesus, because you first loved us. It's in your precious name that we pray. Amen. God bless you as you give. Well, it's testimony night here at CR First NLR, one of my favorite nights of the month. And as you watch this testimony, what I'd like you to do is make sure that you make note of anything that you might relate to in her story. Now, even if you don't totally relate, find at least a thing or two that you can jot down that you can share about in your open share group tonight. When I first met this young lady, it's been, I guess, about 13 years ago, we met her in our connection class, which is basically a Sunday school class. And she was a special person from the moment that we met. We sat at the same table. We would spend time together every single week talking and getting to know one another. And we became very close friends. When we launched CR, we invited her. And in fact, we invited her several times. She always politely said, well, I don't think that's for me. But then one day, she showed up. And she soon realized that she belonged at CR First NLR. She is one of our key leaders here. She's been involved here at CR First NLR and also CR Metro and even CR Lone Oak. She is a very, very involved young lady. And her story is going to inspire you. So will you do me a favor? Will you please help me welcome my friend, Sara?
Hi, I'm a grateful follower of Jesus Christ, overcoming bad financial habits, and my name's Sara.
Hi, Sara. So tell us how it started, your issues with, I think there's some issues you want to tell us about. Tell us how it all started.
All right, so it all started when I was in college. I mean, my mom started me out with some credit cards just for emergency's sake, just as a safety net. And I knew I wasn't supposed to use them unless it was an emergency. And I didn't use them until 2003 and 2005 when I took 2 trips to Europe. And that's when I started going into debt.
Wow, who'd have thought that? Going to Europe twice. You won't rack up any debt doing that, right?
Yeah.
How were your parents with money growing up?
Well, my parents, when I was about 7, declared bankruptcy, and, wait, that's the wrong place. That's all good. It's okay. So, they declared bankruptcy because my dad had begun to branch out into pigs, and he already had cattle, soybeans, and corn, and so they took out some loans to pay for what he needed to build. He built some pig pens and a feeding floor and bought a big new shiny Alice Chalmers tractor that I just loved to ride in. And the day they came to repossess that, I was so sad. I asked my mom, I was like, why are they taking the big tractor? And she said, we just don't have the money to keep it. And
I would have cried too. I love tractors.
It was a big orange tractor. It's great, but
yeah, I love tractors. So you hit a note with me there.
yeah.
It's interesting as we grow up. So you felt a little bit financially insecure probably at that point, didn't you?
That's it. It was because I kept hearing this word foreclosure, and I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And so I talked to my mother about this the other day, and she said, yeah, don't you remember we went down to the Lake of the Ozarks to get away from the banker? And I said, no, I don't remember that, but,
Yeah.
I knew it was
You don't
stressing
answer
them
the
out.
phone. You don't. Yeah. I've never done that before, by the way. Never. So, so you didn't know about managing money. You
Not
just
at all.
hadn't learned
No.
that at all. Did you grow up in Did you grow up in church?
I grew up in a Methodist church, and it was because my dad had gone there as a kid, and that's just where we went. And I got lots of good Bible teaching, lots of stories and principles, but they didn't stress tithing or a relationship with Jesus or the Holy Spirit at all. And I thought tithing was just throwing a quarter or $1 or whatever you might have into the fancy wooden offering plate as it went by. And so I had no idea there was actually an amount I was supposed to give. My parents didn't tithe. They do now. But
Do you think there was a direct correlation with their
Oh.
financial problems?
I'm sure of it
Yeah.
now. Looking back, it's easy to see that. But
It is. It is. It makes no sense at the time to give 10% of your income when you don't have income. But God blesses you, doesn't He?
Yes, He does.
There's something we can learn through that. So what was it like? Tell us a little bit about how you started out with vision problems, and what was it like growing up?
so that's another reason, Dad, they were financially insecure was because of my medical bills. I had a brain tumor when I was 4 years old. It was non-malignant, but it took all the sight in my left eye and a lot of my pituitary and different things, so I have to take lots of hormones and things, but also there was a 22-day hospital stay after that, so they were still paying on that for years. But so I grew up in a small town, about 400 people in North Missouri called Canesville, and of course that small of a town, everyone knew that I was visually impaired, and it was tough. The kids in kindergarten, they wanted to help me. I did not want their help, so I told them that, and that alienated them from right off the bat, and they never got over it. And people in town were weird about it. They were skeptical. They either didn't believe because of the way I could get around, because most of you guys don't know or didn't know a lot until Pastor Rod, but yeah, so they were skeptical, and they'd do stuff like waving their hand in my face, or they'd call me names like the kids did, Blindy Bat or Four Eyes, because I wore safety glasses for a while. And but these adults, it was weird. I don't know. They should have grown up a long time ago, but I don't think they did. And one day during lunch break, we were in the gym after we finished eating, and they were doing vision and hearing screenings. And I was in 4th grade, and I was sitting on the bleachers minding my own business, and for some reason they had people from the community conducting the screenings. And I still to this day do not know why that happened, but it did. And I was sitting there just doing whatever, and they came over to me and said, "Come out here to the free throw line, we're gonna do a vision test." And I sat there and I was thinking, what? Because I was real hesitant, like I was kind of, I don't know, I didn't really want to go. I was real shy, and I was just like, I didn't want to be in front of a bunch of people. And so I finally went out there to the free throw line, and just to see what they were going to do. And they handed me this flat thing that looked like a squished popsicle, and so I could hold it over my eye, which I found just the stupidest thing ever, because I have no sight in my left eye. So if I cover my left eye, I can see just fine. If I cover my right eye, I'm not seeing anything. And so I was just like, okay. And I don't know, at about that time, I got really, something came up in me, and I thought, I am not going to do this. I'm not going to perform for them, because that's what it was, a performance. And so I just went and sat back down and refused to do it. And they kept saying, come out here, come out here. And so I was just like, I never did. And just stuff like that, I guess that builds your character, I don't know.
Apparently, she got her stubbornness from that time, I think. Let's talk about your college life, education. You're a pretty uneducated girl.
Yeah, pretty uneducated. Yeah, so my mom was my math teacher from 7th grade to 12th grade, and that gave me a really good math background, obviously, and couldn't help it. But, of course, all the people in town thought that Mom or my aide did all my homework, so, you know. But I went to college to get a computer science degree, and because I was fascinated with computers. And I got to finally have good, real friends for the first time. I got to be who I was and not just somebody trying to avoid other people, because that's what I did most of the time. And after 5 years, I graduated with a bachelor's in computer science and a minor in math and almost a minor in French. But, you know, thank God the state of Missouri paid for all that through the Vocation Rehabilitation Services for the Blind. And so I didn't have to worry about paying for that bit. But then I thought, wow, I've done so well this way, I'm going to go and get me a master's in artificial intelligence and robotics. So I proceeded to go down to Rolla, which is now Missouri School of Science and Technology or something. Back then it was University of Missouri Rolla. And after 2.5 years of studying AI and robotics, I failed out. A professor told me that I would be able to finish a robotics project after Christmas. He would just give me an incomplete, and I'd come back and finish it.
And you failed that class.
Well, I got home, and the report card said I have an F. So that pretty much was an out in that program. You could not have an F in your master's program. So I went home, regrouped. I will say, Rolla is one of the strangest places. It was a very dark place, both spiritually and...
Talk about that.
It just was... It's not only a Catholic school, but I knew way more pagans than I did Christians at all.
So explain what you're talking about, a pagan. What's that?
A pagan is someone who believes more in nature than in a creator. I mean, they may have a creator thing, but it's not Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And I had friends, we got together, a bunch of us, to do role-playing games, and about 3 or 4 times a week. And one of them was a girl who was a pagan. That was what she called herself. She fed the fairies every morning, put milk or something out. I have no idea, but then there was...
What did you say? She fed the fairies?
She fed the fairies. She was taking care of the fairies.
That's weird.
I always wondered what was actually eating her milk. I figured she had a cat, but coming around there.
Yeah, here come the fairies. Meow.
So another guy was a Mormon who thought that when he died, the aliens were coming to get him in a spaceship, and he was going to go have his own planet.
Oh, that's nice.
And another guy was a warlock, and I think the rest were either agnostic or atheist. So it's quite interesting. And when I got back done there, I went home and regrouped. I was really depressed. I thought science had the answer to everything, and or was the answer to everything. I didn't think God existed, or that's where I started. I started going down that path. And if I had continued, I had been a National Physical Sciences Consortium Fellowship finalist, which meant I was going to get money for grad school for my PhD, should I go pursue it, and work at one of the national labs like Sandy or Los Alamos or Lawrence Livermore. Well, if I'd kept going down that path, I would have had a completely different worldview, and likely Christ would not have been a part of it.
That's right. So sometimes God can use an event like that to get you out of a situation. I'm not saying he caused you to fail, but he sure used that, didn't he?
It was a God thing, and I believe it. And every time I hear that song, If Not for Grace, I always am taken back, and I think of that, because that's just exactly how I feel about it.
Well, you didn't stay out of school very long, did you?
I went home to regroup because I had no idea what I was going to do now. I had failed. I had never failed at much of anything in my life, and I didn't know what to do because my identity was wrapped up in my success in school and getting a good job in the computer field. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I really didn't. And so I went home to my grandmother's house because she was struggling with COPD at the time. And I stayed with her until a few months later. I thought, well, let's see what else is out there. So I started a master's program through Colorado Technical University online. And that is where I started going into debt too, because I spent over $50,000 on the 2 master's degrees. One was IT management and one was information systems security.
So you have 2 master's degrees?
Yes.
Yeah.
No
Wow.
more good than they've done me, but yes, I have them.
That's all. Yeah. Hey, that's pretty amazing though, isn't it? So think about that. Some of us struggle to make it through high school, right? And she's got 2 masters. So when you were a Christian as a child, but I think you mentioned that you really didn't find Jesus at an early age, did you? You knew who he was?
I mean, I knew I went to church. I knew who he was, but I didn't really have a relationship. Since I was staying there with Grandma, my 26th birthday came around, and it actually fell on Sunday. So I thought, all right, I should start the year off right and go back to church. So our little Methodist church that I grew up in was right across the street from Grandma's house. So I just walked across the street and went to church. And after I had gone to that service, there was a lady who had been the secretary at school, high school, and she said, hey, do you want to come down to the Assembly of God church with me right after this? And I said, I was thinking, in for a penny, in for a pound, why not? So it was just a block down the street. And so I ran across the road and told Grandma that I was going to do that, and so I did. When I got home from that, I called my brother and I said, Barty, this church is cooking. You've got to come with me next week.
I guess there's a little difference between worship at Pentecostal churches versus Methodist. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I would say,
a little more
yes.
lively.
And so we started attending both of those, Methodist and Assembly of God, for 2 years because we hated to give up on the Methodists. But after 2 years, we felt like the Assembly of God had become home, and we transferred our memberships. My brother was 17 and a junior in high school in 2004, and the pastor wanted the kids to do the whole service for Youth Sunday, which was April 17th that year. And he asked my brother to preach, and Bart said, yeah, I'll do it. And so he did. He preached a sermon on the light of the world, Matthew 5:14 through 16. And as he was preaching, he felt called to be a pastor. And he's now an ordained minister of the Assemblies of God. And
That's awesome. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
preaching at that same little church we grew up in. So
That's really
it was
cool.
awesome.
So how did you get out here to Little Rock?
All right, well, so as I was finishing my master's degrees, I was looking for jobs, of course. But every time I'd find somebody that I might want to interview with, they said, well, degrees are great, but you need some certifications. And I'm thinking, all right, I just spent 10 years in school, and you want to tell me now I need a little piece of paper. So I was praying about it, and God sent me a letter. I don't even remember to this day where it came from. But it was about a program for Microsoft training in Little Rock, Arkansas, at Lions World Services for the Blind. And I set it up with my rehab counselor there in Missouri, and they sent me down here for the 11-month training program to be a Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer. So I came down to Arkansas. I never thought it was going to be home, but it has become home. And when I first got there, I asked one of the ladies, her name was Carolyn, in the housing staff. I said, is there an Assembly of God church nearby that I can go to? She said, well, I think so. She said, I think a Jiba goes to that. I'll send her to you. Okay. So I'm unpacking, and pretty soon this knock comes at my door, and I'm thinking, okay. And it's this little short black girl, Ethiopian, and she's just got this great accent. She says, you want to go to church? And I said, yes, I do want to go to church. She said, well, the bus from North Little Rock Assembly God comes here at 7 in the morning. And I kind of went, and said, okay, I'll be there. And so from then on, every Sunday while I was in that 11-month training program, I was here at First NLR. And Pastor David Maynard was driving the bus at that time, as well as Fred Rainier. And both of those guys were really instrumental in me coming down here because they were just great. And
isn't it something that people that are instrumental, and Fred is part of our program here too, and he's just wonderful.
Yes.
What a great, that's so cool. So what was that? You went, and that got you up in the morning?
No, that was that gulp going, oh my gosh, that's early. 'Cause
Okay.
I
All right.
just, not a morning person, never have been.
Well, that's pretty amazing. And you've been here ever since. Now,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about how you got involved in CR. This is this is an interesting turning point, isn't it?
Yeah, I wanted to go to Amplify Fest in 2016, and someone here in the church, everybody would probably know who she was, but I don't think I'll mention her name. She was going to take me, but she ended up her and her husband was going to ride her motorcycle. So they weren't able to take me because they didn't have a sidecar, and it was not Pastor Lane. But just want to clarify, they didn't have a sidecar, nor would I have gotten in one. But so she called Pastor Lane to see if perhaps he could find somebody that could give me a ride. And so he calls Julia Hudson and says, hey, there's this girl in North Little Rock. Can you give her a ride to Amplify? And she's like, who is it? He's like, Sarah Screw. Oh, I know Sarah, she says. And she's like, sure, I'll give her a ride. So that's how I ended up at Amplify. And I hung out with a bunch of CR folks there. I even met some people from Midtown because she knew everybody. And she was taking me around and introducing me. I remember Danielle and Kelsey were there. But I thought, after that day, I was like, man, these people are pretty cool. I ought to go to CR just to hang out with them. And I don't need
That's
it.
how we hook you.
But I should.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So that next week, I thought, well, all right, let me go before I talk myself out of it. And, I walked over here several times a week for all kinds of church stuff because I live across the street. And, but I tell you what, when I was walking over here to CR, I got about halfway over here, and my legs were just like heavier and heavier. It was like lugging concrete, and my mind is saying, what are you doing? Why are you going there? I don't need recovery. If I go there, they're going to think I'm an addict. I am not one of those people. And so, but my stubbornness, I guess, I said, no, I'm going to go find out what it's all about. And so, well, it happened to be chip night. Mind you, I thought chips it was the last night of the month, so they had chips and salsa and nachos and stuff for dinner.
Yeah.
I honestly, because Dorothy and Lonnie were always trying to get me here. Pastor Lane and Marcia and Dorothy and Lonnie were forever trying to get me to CR. And I heard them talking about the meal team, and so I just figured chips was chips.
Chips and chip night. You know, we need to do that, don't you think?
I think so.
Chips and salsa, right? You know, I've been threatening to do that, and now you said it, we got to do it, don't you think?
Right,
Okay.
yes.
You know, that way you can get your chips and...
Then I won't be
yeah.
wrong. Nobody else will
Yeah,
either.
there you go. That's awesome. So you didn't get a blue chip, did you?
So I did not get a blue chip because I did not know what it was about or whether I was supposed to or if that was for them or us or me, and I thought, So no, I didn't. And then I got to the newcomer group, and Marcia gets done telling us all about it, and she asked us if we have any questions, and I said, all right, what's this blue chip thing? And so she told us about it, and she said, well, if you have any area in your life that you want to change, you get a blue chip, and then you start working on it. And I said, Yep, I think I should probably work on finances. And so I said, all right, I want a chip. Apparently about 2/3 of the people that were in there did also not get it, because they all got blue chips too.
Yeah, when you're new, you're scared, right?
Nope.
And just raising your hand or going, coming up here, it can be frightening. So let's talk a little bit about, let's see, when did you kind of get this? It wasn't until you reached, which lesson was it?
Lesson 14.
Lesson 14.
The ready lesson. And I was reading question 5 in that lesson. And would you like to read what it says?
Yeah, it says, sometimes it's difficult for us in recovery to see the positive changes God is making in our lives. How have you been able to accept and enjoy your growth, and how?
So I answered that. I came into step study. It was a big step study. And I read my answer. And then I just sat there and I thought, wow, this is working. Yeah. And that's when I really became a believer. But I was just so blown away. I sat there. I remember whoever was going next, I bet it got 3/4 of the way around the table. And I mean, there's like 20-some of us. Before I just was like out of my shock.
Yeah. Because
So-
you had that realization that Celebrate Recovery was working
It works.
in
Where
your life.
nothing else could have.
Yeah.
Because I had tried all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And nothing helped.
See, that's something to pause on for a second. That happens for a lot of us, and it usually happens in a step study. Step studies, how important is a step study, do you think?
Oh, it's the most important. That's where the real change happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, amen. That's why we do them so often, and we'll have new sign-ups coming up next month for you. So, you need to sign up and get involved. It's time for life change.
so I've been here since August 2016.
Yeah,
I've done 3 step studies. The third one was Journey Continues, and right now I'm in a 4th one.
you're in a
So
4th step study.
if that tells you anything, do step studies. They work.
Amen. So, yeah. Yeah, so you finished 3, you're in the 4th one now.
Yes.
And she is helping us
At the
launch
Lone
a Celebrate Recovery, actually 2 Celebrate Recoveries that we're going to be launching in Lone Oak and Helena, West Helena. So
Yes.
it's wonderful. Yeah. So what are your favorite steps in Celebrate Recovery?
I forgot.
Well, there you go. Principle 3.
Principle 3,
yeah.
steps 5 and 6.
Yep, that's right. And so this is really where you've and step 4 to where you made the searching and fearless moral inventory is a huge deal for you too, isn't it?
Yeah, because that's where I had to look back at my past events of my life and see what it was that caused me to feel financially insecure and have bad attitudes about money and how to spend it and who it belongs to.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't belong to me.
That's right. It's all Jesus' money, isn't it? So yeah, and here's the other thing too. You learned through that process that we all bear each other's burdens. One of her favorite scriptures is Galatians 6:2. Bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. That's what we do here. We bear one another's burdens.
right.
Now, do you still use credit cards?
I have no credit cards at all.
That's awesome.
And tithing, I do that. My sponsor, I have a wonderful sponsor, and I'm sure she's here.
Yeah.
And she kept after me. Are you tithing? Did you tithe? So And she set me up a budget when I didn't have enough money to have a budget, but I mean, it was terrible. But the tithing is huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
I
is.
can't even,
Yeah.
I was unemployed for 14 months. I was tithing during that because I couldn't afford not to.
Yeah.
I mean,
So she tithed while she was unemployed, okay? And guess what happened? You got a great job, didn't you?
I have a good job.
And now she loves what she's doing.
So,
Your life verse is 2 Corinthians 5:18 through 20.
yes.
And this is her life verse. It is, all this is from God, who through Christ reconciled us to himself and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That is, in Christ God was reconciling the world to himself, not counting their trespasses against them, and entrusting to us the message of reconciliation. Therefore, we are ambassadors for Christ, God making his appeal through us. We implore you on behalf of Christ, be reconciled to God. So,
That's just a lot of big words.
It is.
But,
yeah, what does that mean?
It means God sent Jesus to die because Adam and the garden, we separated ourselves from him through sin. So we couldn't have a pure relationship with God anymore. We had to have things through blood sacrifices and things. But Jesus came and died so that we could all have conversations with God at any time without any kind of barrier between us. And so we're supposed to be the ambassadors to share that and help others to become followers of Christ and be reconciled to God.
Amen. So do you tell anybody about Celebrate Recovery? Do you tell people?
I tell everybody about
You do.
Celebrate Recovery. I have, anybody that will listen, I have CR and First NLR stuff, flyers on my sales counter at work. I wear my CR t-shirts
Yeah, everywhere.
4 or 5 days a week to work, to anywhere else I am.
Yep.
Just so I can get conversations started and I can pray with people and I can, give them the hope I have from CR and from Jesus. And I do want to say one thing about tithing though.
Yeah.
The thing that has made it very good for me to do immediate obedience on that is the text to give service here. I don't even wait till I come in the doors anymore. I get my check, I take a picture, deposit it with the app, tithe immediately. And I'm always joyful about it because if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have nothing.
Amen. Amen.
So that was
Yes.
bad English, but it's true.
It's all good. Well, as we wrap this up, we're a little bit late, but it's okay. Tell us one thing. What do you have to tell somebody who's new at Celebrate Recovery?
All right, to the newcomer, you may think right now, you probably do think right now that it does not work. This program won't work. Keep coming back. Find yourself a good sponsor. A good sponsor, not just any sponsor. Find the one that is really going to help you. Pray about that. Search out the people that are going to you connect with well and that they will walk alongside you on your road to recovery. Do a step study as soon as possible. Do not miss a meeting. Sometimes you may think you don't need the meeting, but the meeting very much could need you.
That's right.
And
Wow, that's
get
powerful.
involved, serve,
Yeah.
and keep coming back because it works if you work it. Thanks for letting me share.
Let's thank her. Wow.
Guys, let's go ahead and stand up and spend another time in worship.
Sara is an important and special member of our Forever family. And her story is a reminder that God can and He will use you regardless of your struggle or your perceived limitations. And just be open and just be willing, and He will use you just like He did with Sara. And as you go into your groups tonight, please do me a favor and share how you related to her story or what really impacted you about her story. I'm sure the groups are going to be wonderful tonight. And as we wrap up this special evening, will you join me in the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. Thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. I know there's a lot of other things that you could be doing on a Tuesday night, but you chose to spend some time here at CR First NLR. And I want to encourage you. I know there are several of you right now that are on the fence about trying these Zoom groups. I really want to encourage you to try it out tonight. If you haven't already registered, just go to our website, crfirstnlr.com. Scroll down the page. You'll see where it says Open Share Groups. Click on that box. It'll take you into a quick registration. Register for the group, and your leader will send you the invite, which is a link to the Zoom group. It's very, very simple to do. And here's something else I want to encourage you about. You don't have to share it when you come to group. Most people do, but if you just want to listen, it's perfectly fine. The main thing is to start getting used to being connected and seeing people face to face again. Don't forget to reach out to your accountability partners. Call your sponsor every day or every couple days at the least. And keep coming back, because it works if you work it. Don't isolate, my friends. We love you, and have awesome groups tonight.